Okay, here's our letters, and y'all had the absolute best ideas, but we landed on bias tape. There's Olives. Can you see it behind me? I tried a few different things, and that was the simplest way to do it and still look incredible. So I have Olivia's entire name, and I have one letter that we're gonna sew and cut together. So what I did was printed some large letters off and then just traced them on my fabric. So I have one fabric, pretty side up, 4 layers of flannel. I just had a bunch of scrap flannel. You can do 2 layers, 4 layers, no layers, batting, whatever it is you want in between it. And then I have another piece of fabric face down. So both of my pieces of fabric are pretty side on the outside. I'm gonna sew right on top of it, and then we're gonna cut this eye out, and then we're gonna put all of our letters in the bias tape and make this super cute garland for their already precious bedrooms. Now I'm sewing directly on the line that I drew. So on the marks that I made for the eye, I'm gonna sew directly on that, just with a straight stitch. And there's no secret to it, slow and steady. Okay, so now I have these pinking shears. These are spring action pinking shears that are incredible, especially if pinking shears hurt your hands like they do mine. And these just came from Amazon. They're linked in my Amazon storefront if you're looking for them. So now I'm just cutting outside of the line all the way around my letter. So now here's my letter I. Now there's my fabric marker. I'm not sure how it disappears, heat or water or something, but truthfully, I'm just gonna turn my eye around this away so I don't have to worry about it, because this is gonna hang on the wall and you're never gonna see the other side, so it really wouldn't have mattered what I marked it with. I have some bias tape. Now I have bought my bias tape on a roll because I'm using so much of it for these projects currently, and this is, I don't know, 1/2 inch I think maybe, and I have about 3 yards here, but you can use as little or as much as you want. The first thing I'm gonna do is find the center of my bias tape. If you buy a pack of bias tape, I think generally it comes in 3-yard pieces. I'm gonna put a clip. And then I'm gonna put Olivia's sweet name. Now my fabrics are not the same on both sides, so I'm just looking to see what side I wanna use. And most of my letters can turn over. The L obviously can't, but the rest of them can. Okay, now I'm gonna find the center of her name, which I think is gonna be between the I and the V. And I'm gonna clip my letters generally where I think I want them to go. Doesn't have to be exact, just close enough. Now I have Olivia's letters where I think I want them to go. I'm gonna come to the end of my bias tape. This is double fold bias tape. What is that? Well, it folds in and in again. So that's what it is, double fold. So I'm gonna let it fold in, and I'm gonna fold this down and then fold it back in on itself. And that's gonna get rid of the raw edge. And I'm gonna straight stitch down this side. And when I get to the clips where my letters are, I'm just gonna slide my letter inside and keep stitching. Now I'm stitching mine with white thread because that's how I did Olive's. But if you wanted to change your thread color, you absolutely can. Now I'm gonna stitch this with more like a top stitch, and a top stitch is only a straight stitch sewn a little closer to the edge. So I'm gonna top stitch this to get my stitching close to where the bias tape closes up. Back stitching when I start and when I stop, because my grandma said so. I wasn't sure what I was doing with these when I cut the letters out. Now I've decided to hang them on the wall. If I had realized that in the beginning, I just would not have put a piece of fabric on the back, because who wants to waste pretty fabric? Okay, here's my sweet Olivia's name garland, and there's Olives. Super easy, beginner friendly, and the most precious decoration for any little girl's room. My name is Tammy. I'm your favorite sewing teacher, and I would love for you to come sew with me.